Now, Vitoria do have a player in the referee's notebook. Arsenal swiftly get on leading as Pepe his feet. Tierney down the left-hand side, can't make inroads. It breaks to Saka, into Martinelli, tries to turn. Tapsoba gets the challenge in. Agu as well. Two Vitoria players just about squirm it clear out towards the far side, but it will be gathered by Nicolas Pepe for Arsenal. Rolls it infield to Socrates on halfway. Willock will take over. Maitland-Niles has made a dart, and good ball from Willock to pick him out. And Maitland-Niles now in behind the Vitoria defence. His cross though was cut out by Tapsoba. Quickly covered the ground there to get across and get a block in. The last touch came off Maitland-Niles as well, so it will be a Vitoria Guimaraes ball. We've had 34 minutes of play in this Europa League clash. Still Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. The hosts have had the better of the opportunities and have come closest to scoring thanks to that long-range effort early on, I should say, from midfielder Pepe that ricocheted against the post. But there are signs that Arsenal are starting to get a bit of a control on matters as another foul goes in, this time on Willock, who's left crumpled in a heap. It's Pepe who's committed the offence. Again, it won't be a yellow card, just ticking off from the Turkish official. Pepe, one of the players that's impressed so far. Both Pepes actually on the pitch have looked pretty good. The Vitoria midfield man, the Arsenal club record signing, who's playing on the right of a front three this evening. Mustafi has it for the Gunners. Infield to Ceballos. Can he start dictating things? It's a good ball forward from him to pick out Bukayo Saka. In turn, he looks to release Martinelli, but on the cover is the fullback Victor Garcia. Does a good job there of turning the ball out of play. Tierney, though, in a hurry, takes the resulting throw-in to Saka. Into the feet now of Ceballos via holding. Ceballos, oh, lovely reverse ball around the corner. Tierney, does he have the legs to get there? Not quite, but all Victor Garcia can do on this occasion is slide in and turn it behind for a corner kick to Arsenal. And that's the first time we've really seen the imagination of Dani Ceballos in this game. He's now juggling the ball on the far side as he prepares to take this latest Arsenal corner. Socrates, one of the players forward from the back, although Ceballos has taken the set piece short. Pepe to whip this in with his left foot. He's created half a yard. It's a loop delivery towards the far post, not dealt with convincingly by Rafa Suarez for Vitoria. Mustafi now trying to act as auxiliary winger. He did a bit of a centre-back's job of it there, trying to beat his man, but runs out of room. It will be a Vitoria Guimaraes goal kick. Unai Emery watching on will be not concerned, but a little bit worried at his side of giving up so many chances in this game so far, but he will be pleased that there are signs that they're starting to take control once again. Maitland-Niles beats Suarez in the air. It's picked up in the middle of the park by Joe Willock. Under a bit of pressure. He's got three white shirts around him. Does well actually to... he hasn't kept it in. I thought he'd done well to win the throw, but just ran out of room on the far side before he flicked it against the legs of Pepe. So it's a Vitoria ball. Opportunity for them... Sorry, yeah, it's a Vitoria ball. Sorry, but it's quickly been deflected out, and now it's an Arsenal throw-in. Maitland-Niles takes it, headed out by Suarez. Another throw, again for Arsenal, this time parallel with the edge of the Vitoria penalty area. Maitland-Niles into the feet of Martinelli, marshalled by Tapsoba, but retains possession. Work back to Willock. Mustafi now on the halfway line. Plays it infield towards Socrates. Arsenal moving the ball around with a bit of purpose now. Willock finds Maitland-Niles hugging the right touchline. He's got Davidson doing some defensive work, and the winger doesn't look as comfortable doing that as he does coming forward, and rather clumsily brings Ainsley Maitland-Niles to the ground. It'll be a free kick to Arsenal over on the right-hand side, high up the pitch, so a good area to try and whip the ball into the box if they choose to do so. Pepe, the left-footed option over the ball. Ceballos right. Vitoria trying to hold a reasonably high line between the penalty spot and the edge of the 18-yard box. Mustafi, Socrates, and Holding all in there. The cross is deep over the head of Holding, who was coming in at the far stick. Saka will regather the pieces for Arsenal over on the left-hand side. He's looking to take on Garcia, who stands his ground well, and Saka runs out of room on the far side. It'll be a goal kick to Vitoria once again. 7 minutes plus stoppage time to play at the end of this first half. We're bringing you independent off-tube studio commentary of this Europa League clash between Vitoria and Arsenal. A big game this. Remember, Arsenal can't secure their place in the knockout stages just yet with a win. If they were to pick up all 3 points and Standard Liège were to beat Eintracht Frankfurt in tomorrow's game, then the Gunners would be through to the round of 32 and guaranteeing Europa League football after Christmas to boot, as Martinelli looking to release Saka down the left-hand side. Again, good covering from the fullback Garcia to get back. He finds his goalkeeper Douglas, who missed the first game at the Emirates Stadium between these two sides with injury, but has quickly returned to the starting lineup. Davidson trying to release Duarte down the left-hand side. He'll get a second bite of the cherry now, Davidson. In fact, no, he won't. Duarte is adjudged to have fouled his man. Duarte running a bit of a tightrope now. It's a couple of fouls he's given away of picking up a yellow. Rafa Suarez is the only player with a yellow card so far for Vitoria. Shokdan Mustafi on a caution for Arsenal. Lovely feed by Ceballos there in the middle of the park for the Gunners, but pass was a poor one. And Joe Willock is guilty of giving away a free kick.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a few players out there for both sides that are adamant the referee's been a bit soft and not letting some of these tackles go, but I think the referee's had a good game. Again, it's a little clip on the heels. Without the touch, the Vitoria players going back on the inside towards halfway, and you know, there's nothing much he can do. The referee's, he thinks it's contact, he's got to give it.
Yeah, so Vitoria trying to make inroads down the left, but Shokdan Mustafi can do a decent covering job there for Arsenal. He's able to clear his lines as well. Still goalless between Vitoria and Arsenal as we tick down towards the half-time break. Vitoria have had another decent opportunity. Davidson with a curling effort from the edge of the box that was well saved. Oh, well, not well saved, it was just wide of the target, in fact. Emiliano Martinez probably wasn't getting there in all truth. Having said that, Arsenal are starting to flex their muscles in terms of seeing more of the ball in dangerous areas. Still, though, struggling to get shots on target, and nothing for Douglas in the Vitoria goal to do. It's still 0-0.
Yeah, the corner to come. Ball's going to swing to the near post again. It's up into the air. Now, who's touched it? It's gone behind the goal. And the way the players are shaping suggests it's Mustafi that's got the last touch, and it is going to be another corner to Vitoria. They've managed to get a new ball. One of the ball boys in the soak stand behind the goal throws it back, and it's going to be floated in again. Mustafi heads it up in the air, only to the edge of the box. Pepe flicks on. That's a really good header to find Saka, but Saka runs into trouble in the shape of Evangelista as he shoots for goal. And he goes straight into the stands, and again the ball boy try to keep warm and dry by running around, and he gets the ball, chucks it to Holding, who gives it back to the keeper, and then Holding kicks the ball forward for Tierney, who can hopefully start an attack. Tierney's got on his own down the left. It's a good chance for him to get the ball forward, but he has to go back now to Ceballos. We've got 4 minutes to go until half time. Ceballos again, inside it comes. Up to the right, Mustafi again. He's going to turn inside, and it's now out towards the right. Maitland-Niles gets the ball. He's going to try drop the shoulder. Can he pick out a pass? He's certainly going to try to. Bit of a shove on Willock, but nothing given by the referee. Now Davidson goes down. There should not be in that. That's good refereeing. This time no free kick. That was too soft from Davidson. Maitland-Niles barely touched him. Just got the wrong side and had hoped to draw a free kick, as it is in with Holding. Holding gets it out towards the left. Here is Ceballos. Ceballos once more. Here is Duarte, and Duarte just runs into the ball and gets it back. Now it's with Edwards. Ceballos tries to win the ball back and does. So that's the second time in this match that he's given the ball away and won it back straight away. So props to him for doing so. He needs to stop giving it away though in the first place, as here is Tierney. Tierney to the byline. It's a good first touch to get out of his feet. Causes some panic, and he wins a throw-in.
He did, but I'm really impressed from Vitoria's point of view defensively. I think the wing-backs are providing good cover, but when they are beaten, which is going to happen when you've got pacey wide men in the Arsenal ranks like Tierney and Maitland-Niles, then the centre-backs, whether it's Tapsoba on the left or Venancio on the right, coming across, helping out their full-backs, and it's a really organised approach from Vitoria so far.
It is, as Holding gets to the ball, he's going to try and touch it back and keep it upfield, but Edwards gets across, then Holding comes back to win it, and a throw in to Vitoria, who managed to get the call off a heavy touch from Holding in that collision. Whether the ref gives a free kick or not, though, I don't know if he touched Edwards or not. He did. Sliced through him. free kick was given, I think. We didn't see the official, did we? Just saw the linesman put the flag to the left and to suggest it was a throw-in only, as there is sober. He goes one of those ambitious crossfield passes he's liked to do so far, and he's looked pretty good with them. Ceballos to Mustafi. I mean, a 0-0 draw is not the worst case result for Arsenal. With their standing in the group, of course, it's Vitoria that have to win.
No, yeah, as you say, in terms of the Europa League group and getting through, I don't think there's much doubt for Arsenal. Even if they were to lose this game, they'd still be in a very commanding position. But a draw away against, what is a good Vitoria side, but still one that Arsenal would expect to beat 9 times out of 10. I don't think it's going to help Unai Emery in the long term, and the pressure that seems to be growing on his shoulders week in, week out.
Yeah, certainly the case, as there is a good little pass over the top. That should be a free kick, is it? Saka's adamant he was touched. Referee's given nothing. Now Tierney's crunched, and there's 2 players down side by side. Referee, I think, maybe out of guilt, gives one of them. They're pretty much symmetrical fall, symmetrical, on the floor, lying down, and 2 clips to the ankle. Ceballos getting ready.
Yeah, and both simultaneously get back on the haunches at the same time. Also, as you say, how to tell, the referee's probably had his sight blocked by Pepe for the initial challenge on Saka, and then Pepe himself goes in with the challenge on Tierney. Just about probably the other 2 of them, there is a foul in amongst that, so the referee's probably just hedged his bets there in a lot of ways, but he is in a good position for a right-footed player to look to whip this towards goal.
Yeah, now it is with Ceballos. Pardon me, again. Waiting to see who will take it. Pepe, in fact, might have called rank. Does go for the shot, and it goes way over. Goalkeeper fuming, but the referee decided that's the end of the first half. So really entertaining at times, frustrating as well for both, and it is going to be 0-0 at the interval.
Half-time, Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though, it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelista's had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese side enjoying plenty of opportunities. They certainly have impressed with long-range strikes. Pepe, the midfielder, hit the post and had Emiliano Martinez in the Arsenal goal beaten all ends up. Evangelistas had an effort as well. Tapsoba's had a more regulation header saved by Martinez. At the other end, Arsenal have saw plenty of the ball and plenty of territory, but not really creating any chances of note. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Half-time at Vitoria 0, Arsenal 0. Lively first half, though it has to be said, with the Portuguese. Right, we'll just draw that one to a quick conclusion, because the second half at the Estadio Dom Afonso Henriquez in Guimaraes is about to get underway. It's goalless at the break between Vitoria and Arsenal. Vitoria, the home side, actually impressing more than the Gunners during that first period, hitting the post through their midfielder Pepe, forcing Emiliano Martinez into a couple of decent saves as well, while Arsenal, who certainly had the majority of the ball and the territory, failed to lay a glove on Vitoria in terms of strikes towards goal themselves. Nothing for the home side's goalkeeper Douglas to do as of yet. So that statistic needs to improve for Arsenal if they are to leave Portugal with all 3 points, which would all but guarantee their place in the knockout stages this evening. Vitoria, of course, need the victory to give themselves any real hope of making it through to the last 32 after Christmas. The second half underway, as I say. No changes, it appears, for either side at the break, so it's as you were in terms of the starting 11s. The ball is with Vitoria down the right-hand side with their English player Marcus Edwards, former Tottenham Hotspur youngster, who's really seizing his opportunity playing regularly in Portugal over the last 12 months or so. Although now breaks Arsenal's way, and Martinelli, who was very quiet in the first half, lacked any real service, driving forward now, links up with Bukayo Saka, back in towards Martinelli, but the pass is just a little bit overhit by Saka. Martinelli applauds the intent from his fellow youngster, but just wasn't quite subtle enough. I think, in fairness, Martinelli would have been offside had he latched onto the ball anyway. But it'll be a goal kick to Vitoria nonetheless, and a rare opportunity, as I mentioned, to see their goalkeeper Douglas. In fact, the offside was given rather than the goal kick, so Douglas takes the free kick from the edge of the area long. Tierney wins it in the air, but the ball ricochets the way of Bruno Duarte, who first touch forces him out wide, but he does well to feed it into Edwards, who returns it towards Duarte. It's a sliding challenge from Ceballos, who does just about enough to get in there, and the last touch, in fact, comes off Duarte as well. So it will be a goal kick rather than a corner, but it just looked like the big striker was going to get in behind for a moment there, and it needed the toe of Dani Ceballos to bail Arsenal out. They now have possession, the Gunners, in a more comfortable position with Rob holding. He did have one half opening for them during the first half, a header from a Bukayo Saka cross that he couldn't keep underneath the crossbar. Ball now worked out to Maitland-Niles on the Arsenal right, back in towards Mustafi. Cross now to Socrates, who can stride forward up towards the halfway line relatively unopposed. Lacking a bit of movement in front of him though, so just flicks it to his side with Mustafi, and now Maitland-Niles involved again down the right hand flank. Nicolas Pepe, lovely little pirouette from Pepe to get away from his man, finds Martinelli. Maitland-Niles overlapping, Martinelli instead though goes infield to Willock. Willock in turn picks out Ceballos, almost turns into trouble, does well though to squeeze it to Tierney. Tierney out to Holding, but intercepted well by Victor Garcia, who looks a decent fullback, it has to be said. Good ball forward towards Duarte, and Edwards has been released brilliantly by Duarte. He's breaking forward into the penalty area. The angle's tight for Marcus Edwards. He's ushered off it by Ceballos, pulls it back into a dangerous area. But he only really had Davidson in support. He couldn't find him at the far stick. The cutback was into the near, and what was a really good opening, or seemed a really good opening for Vitoria, Marcus Edwards wasn't able to take full advantage of. Credit Ceballos as well, getting back, working hard for the second time at the start of this half. Just a little bit of a nudge on Marcus Edwards is enough to put the youngster off. He did get his head up, but just couldn't get the execution he was looking for on the cutback. But a really good opening nonetheless for Vitoria Guimaraes. May really feel that they're a little bit unfortunate not to be in front in this game based on the number of chances they've created, if not the possession of the football they've had. Pepe has now won a free kick for the home side in the middle of the park, brought down rather clumsily by Dani Ceballos. Free kick's been taken to Tapsoba. Good looking central defender, impressed in the first meeting of these two sides at the Emirates Stadium. Rafa Suarez now deep ball towards the far post, should be gathered comfortably enough by Emiliano Martinez, and is. Martinez, of course, now worked his way into the Argentina full international squad, so he can count Lionel Messi, Sergio Aguero and the likes among his list of illustrious teammates at international level. Bukayo Saka now for Arsenal, plays it into Joe Willock, space for Pepe on the right hand side, although the ball from Willock is behind the Ivorian. Has to check, works it infield to Saka, edge of the box, might fancy a strike, Bukayo Saka, and does. The deflection loops the ball into the air. Garcia does well to clear under pressure from Tierney. Edwards can now bring it forward down the right hand side for Vitoria. He's very left footed, Marcus Edwards. He's trying to release Duarte, and Martinez is quick off his line to tidy up the danger, but he's got to race back now because he's booted out for a throw in and he's off his line. Taken quickly by Garcia. Socrates makes sure there's not a route to goal for Duarte. Martinez is now back in his goal. Crossing from Edwards towards the far post, missed by Maitland-Niles. Davidson will scramble and keep it in play for Vitoria on the far side. Whips the ball with his right foot, but that's a really poor execution from Davidson, who was so impressive at times during the first half, but that wasn't one of his finer efforts, trying to get far too much pace and power on the ball. Just a little bit of a concern at the start of that move. Dani Ceballos appeared to pull up, clutching the back of his left hamstring, and he's moving gingerly. He has just indicated to the sidelines that he is okay. Doesn't need to receive treatment. Maybe it was a touch of cramp rather than anything too severe, like a pulled muscle. If it was a pulled muscle, you feel he could run it off and continue in the game. If it is cramp, maybe we'll be all right. He's got possession now. Not moving 100%, I would say, but he is able to play it into the feet of Saka, who under pressure loses the ball. Edwards, who's made a strong start to the second half, feeds it back towards Agu, but Mikel Agu is caught on the ball, picked up by Saka. Saka, the ball in behind Pepe once again. He has to check and try and beat two men. Mikel Agu comes in with a challenge. Tapsoba does as well. Eventually, Vitoria can scramble it clear, but it's a little bit desperate from the home side in their own defensive third. Garcia pokes it out of play for a throw-in. It's one of the few times we've seen Vitoria looking a little bit ruffled from a defensive point of view, but certainly need to keep an eye on Danny Ceballos and make sure he is okay after feeling the back of that left hamstring. He's in possession once again. Finds Tierney. Tierney rolls it back into the feet of Rob Holding, and Arsenal trying to get an element of control now on proceedings. Holding into Ceballos. Ceballos back towards Rob Holding. Vitoria, the press is being led there by Bruno Duarte. They've played round him though, Arsenal. Socrates plays it into the feet of Willock. Space for Maitland-Niles on the right-hand side. Again, the ball's not great out towards him. He has to check and roll it back into the feet of Shokdan Mustafi. Good ball though there from Maitland-Niles to find Willock in a bit of space. He's driving towards the edge of the box. Marshalled well though by Evangelisto. Pokes a toe in and is able to bring the ball clear. There's still a decent ebb and flow about this game. Pepe for Vitoria rides over a challenge there of Maitland-Niles. I think he's not going to get the free kick. Arsenal will play on. The referee didn't feel there was any contact, but yeah, Arsenal trying to get hold of possession in this game. It's got a similar feel to what we had in the first half, where they're seeing a lot of the ball. Vitoria looking more threatening going forward. Yeah, they seem to want it a little bit more. If they've got into a good position here, they'll break off. Yeah, Davidson can he get across into the box down the left-hand side. He flashes it across the face of goal. Again, it's not a great delivery from him, and it goes behind for a goal kick. I think he's trying to generate the same amount of power he does here, perhaps not the same amount of loft, and he's just trying to drill it and hope that Duarte cuts his run towards the near post, and Duarte doesn't, and well, Ceballos is coming off, and this is what I mean about Danny Ceballos. He isn't a midfield general. He doesn't go in the ball back. If there is nobody there to break up the play with him, he can be a bit of a passenger in football matches, and I don't know about you, but would you be signing him permanently? I personally wouldn't. Yeah, it's not really. Every positive thing he's done, there's also been a negative in there this evening. I wonder if it is that hamstring knock he picked up a few minutes ago that has forced him to go off. It's Matteo Guendouzi who's come on in his place. Still goalless at the start of this second half between Vitoria and Arsenal. It's got a similar pattern to the first, though, with Arsenal seeing a lot of the ball, but the only real opening of this second period so far has come the way of the home side. Marcus Edwards played in behind by Bruno Duarte. The angle was tight, he was under pressure, and in the end the angle got too tight for a shot. He tried to pull it back for a teammate, but Arsenal had enough bodies there to clear. One element of concern as well for the Gunners is Danny Ceballos, moments after clutching the back of his left hamstring, has been replaced. That's one to look out for in terms of his fitness for the weekend. Matteo Guendouzi is on for him, and it still is 0-0. Tierney flicks the ball down the line. It's going to be a throw, throw into Arsenal. Took a deflection off Vitoria Garcia. Tierney has the ball in his hand and is looking for an option further down the line. Good interception from Tierney. Perhaps had to look a bit of a foul though, but he shows enough shoulder contact, no pushing the back, the referee said. Ball down the line, looped over the top. Martinelli, Agu, all the way back now towards Tapsoba. So Martinelli putting pressure on the two Vitoria players to no avail, and the home side have it back. Yeah, long ball forward by Douglas. It's Davidson giving chase, and that puts pressure on Emiliano Martinez, who does well to clear first time. Tapsoba picks it up though for Vitoria. Rafa Suarez, ball down the line from him, can't find a teammate, and Arsenal will be able to gather again. 55 minutes on the clock. New independent off-tube studio commentary. Still Vitoria Guimaraes 0, Arsenal 0 in this Europa League match, the sole Europa League match taking place on Wednesdays. Bukayo Saka gets in behind for Arsenal. Can he pick out a delivery into the box? He did, but the referee's assistant had raised his offside flag, so and Saka going fractionally too early there. I suppose if the letter of the law, play should have been allowed to continue to see if he could have picked out his man at the far post, and then had the ball gone in, they could have looked back at it potentially, although it was an offside just about, you would say, from Saka. Second Arsenal offside of the game. Vitoria now looking to come forward down the left-hand side, and they're in a little bit of a hurry there. Pepe wants to get on with proceedings quickly. His teammates aren't quite on the same wavelength. So in the end, he lets Rafa Suarez take over. Guendouzi gets his first touch to intercept the throw. But it breaks back the way of Pepe. Was he being fouled there by his namesake? No, says the referee. Guendouzi can now bring the ball forward for Arsenal and find Nicolas Pepe on the right-hand side. He looks to release Martinelli, who is onside. Can he get across into the box? He can. A low delivery. Saka caught a little bit on his heels, and there was Venancio to clear the ball out into touch for an Arsenal throw-in high up the field.
I mean, he's feeding off scraps here, Martinelli. He's tried to create something from very little, which is what his tale of the night's been so far. And every time he seems to have touched it, he has done something positive. So it's the one upside. Guendouzi's winning the ball high up the pitch. That might turn the tide in Arsenal's favour if he can keep doing that.
Yeah, there's more balance to the Arsenal midfield now with Matteo Guendouzi in there. Forced a corner. Rafa Suarez has hurriedly had to clear the ball out into touch, and an opportunity for Arsenal. They did have quite a few corners in the first half, in truth. It's quite unusual. They probably had 4 or 5, but still didn't really have any shots towards goal, certainly on target. Pepe, who had such an influential role to play in that first reverse match at the Emirates a couple of weeks ago, can he provide some quality from a set piece once again? It'll be a left-footed in swinger, plenty of bodies in yellow to aim at. It's not a great delivery from Pepe. Evangelista is there to head the ball clear for Vitoria, but Vitoria's Pepe gives the ball away down the line. It's Maitland-Niles now breaking forward, looking to get towards the byline. Shows too much of the ball low to Tapsoba, who watches it out for a goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, it's ambitious though, isn't it? At least he's trying something. He's just telling his teammates behind, watch out and cover from where I should be. Guendouzi goes and does that. That's good communication from the pair, and here they come again.
Looking really elegant there, Matteo Guendouzi, as he strides forward. His pass, though, was cut out by Venancio. Picked up now by Marcus Edwards, certainly having more of an involvement in this second half than he did the first. Plays it out towards Garcia. Fullback with an early attempted cross into the box, though. It's a poor one.
Should have been 1-2, though.
Yeah, probably should have. He's a little bit anxious there, I would say, Victor
Edwards
Garcia.
was there in space, little kick down the line, little tap, and it's a miles better option. By going for the cross, you have to get it inch perfect, and as a right back, it's not necessarily going to be the case.
Rob Holding gave the ball away there, but Edwards couldn't fully capitalise. Picked up by Willock now for Arsenal. Back into Holding, and across towards Shokdan Mustafi. Again, they're happy, Vitoria, for Arsenal's defenders to have possession of the ball inside their own half. Maitland-Niles falling into that bracket, plenty of time, just turns back into Shokdan Mustafi once again. Pace of the game just slowing somewhat. Willock will look to take over. Perhaps he'll have more licence to get forward now. He's playing alongside Ceballos, alongside Guendouzi rather than Ceballos in the middle of the park. Maitland-Niles releases Pepe down the Arsenal right, but again Tapsoba coming across, and we saw that in the first half as well. The centre-backs, just the understanding between the back four, knowing when to help each other out and when to cover.
Yeah, Tapsoba, I mentioned in the first part of the commentary, was one of the most impressive players in the first leg, and he's not been as impressive on the ball tonight. Maybe the conditions are not helping him, but defensively he's been solid as a rock.
Yeah, looks a really strong, competent defender. Although he just made a mistake. Gabriel Martinelli looking to capitalise. Tapsoba then dives in, doesn't get a hold of Martinelli. Lovely little dummy there by Pepe. Guendouzi on the edge of the box, looking to release Nicolas Pepe. Is he in behind? He was.
Offside.
Offside flag has been raised. There's a really important block in there from Mikel Agu in and amongst that as well. But just for a second, it looked like Pepe was going to pull the trigger. I don't think he is offside, actually, so it would have been a controversial decision nonetheless. Well, but Agu came across.
The replay we've just got is about 3 or 4 yards behind the actual play. I'd like to see it level, to be honest, if we could. But yeah, great play by Guendouzi. To get into a good position like that, keep possession, keep the team ticking. But yeah, Tapsoba, we cursed him. He's not put a foot run all game. Then all of a sudden, he goes and does that.
He does, and we're going to see the first Vitoria change of the evening, and the impressive Pepe is going to be replaced. That will help from a commentator's point of view. Now just one Pepe on the pitch, and it's the French midfielder Denis Poha who's going to come on in his place. So like-for-like replacement in terms of positionally. But yeah, Tom, I thought Pepe was one of the brighter performers out there for Vitoria.
Yeah, I mean, when he hit the post, that was the most excited we've got in this game, and we were certainly on our feet when when he did that. But if we have to be honest, and we have to be a bit more ruthless, what's he done since? In terms of caught the eye, you'd say that Agu's caught the eye more. You'd say that Evangelista has. So perhaps with Arsenal just getting more of a grip in the game, that's why they've made that call.
Yeah, Pohar coming in alongside Evangelista and Agu now as Arsenal working the ball across from right to left. Tierney has it into the feet of Bukayo Saka. Got three defenders around him. Lovely back heel and imagination from Saka to release Tierney, and Evangelista has to come across, slide in and block Tierney's attempted cross behind for a corner. There are signs though that Arsenal are starting to flex their attacking muscles really for the first time in the game. There's more imagination, there's more potency about the Gunners when they come forward. Still though, nothing for Douglas to do in the Vitoria goal so far. That could change from this latest Nicolas Pepe corner. He's taken them from both sides of the pitch now. Ceballos has been replaced. It's a deep one towards the far post and the heads go up. It was an Arsenal head that got there. Shokdan Mustafi under pressure, 7 yards out, can't divert the header on target.
Yeah, header over the bar. It's the second header he's had against these. He had one in the first leg, which is a really good chance. And that's a couple of flash headers they've had. They had one in the first half, which went under. That was holding, wasn't it, over the bar? So the warning signs there for Vitoria that if they don't get this goal early in the next maybe 10-15 minutes, it could be a tense finish. But as I said again, they're the ones desperate for the win. It's Arsenal that'll be happy for a point. Then it's not the end of the world for them.
Yeah, a point for Vitoria in this game would leave them bottom of the group, 5 points behind Eintracht Frankfurt in second place. They only have 2 games left to play, and of course Frankfurt, if they were to beat Standard Liège on Thursday, then that would also guarantee Vitoria being out of the competition. Realistically, they need to win this game. Arsenal would like to win this as well to edge them ever closer to a place in the knockout stages. Tierney closing down there, putting pressure on his man. It will just be a Vitoria ball, however, but you do feel that Arsenal are trying now to up the tempo and pin Vitoria back as much as they can. Having said that, we know Vitoria still have a threat going forward. Suarez trying to showcase that, but his ball in field is intercepted by Willock, and yeah, they're just not retaining it quite as well as they were in the first half, Vitoria.
No, they're not. That'd be the main worry. Maybe that's why they made that call in midfield to try and change things up a little. They had more bodies in there. I mean, don't necessarily say the cliche, but Guendouzi is like having 2 in sometimes. With the effort he puts in, he works overtime, doesn't he? Terrific engine. So perhaps that's where they're starting to get a bit concerned.
Suarez just put a ball into the box for Vitoria, cleared away effectively enough by Socrates. Will be throwing though to the Portuguese side. They can buy their fullback Rafa Suarez, but Davidson, who was so effective in the first half, but that's a really poor touch. There's a couple of disappointing crosses into the box as well at the start of this second. Perhaps he's just running a little bit on empty. We might actually be about to see another change. In fact, it's going to be an Arsenal one. It's going to be Alexandre Lacazette to replace Bukayo Saka, who's flitted in and out of the game, but then again, he's not the only attacking player for Arsenal who's done that.
Yeah, I mean, he has been the least involved out of all those Arsenal players in the entire match for me. We've mentioned in the least. Pepe's got involved. Martinelli has, he needs more services. A wide man Saka needs to be pulling further wide. I'm quite amused by Lacazette's face. You just look up to the sky, Lacazette. His forehead's now drenched. It's absolutely bouncing down out there at the stadium. It is drenched. Everybody's drenched. The players, the pitch, the fans. And he just looked at it and thought, right, I need to get used to this. And just tried to get the acclimatisation. The rest of his teammates are soaked. And he's got 25 minutes to make an impact.
He has. 13 degrees it is in Guimaraes at the moment, so it's not freezing.
Shorts weather for us.
It really is. At least it's not -3 and pouring down with rain, but still not an amazingly pleasant experience you would imagine for the players, and you wouldn't describe it as warm as such, as Martinelli bringing the ball forward for Arsenal, but there's been an altercation off the ball there, and Rob Holding, in fact, is going to go into the referee's notebook. Yellow card. He pleads his innocence towards the official. I'll have to see a replay of that, because as I say, it was off the ball, and Holding, he's doing exactly what his name says. He's holding Evangelista and preventing him from getting across to Martinelli.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. Evangelista does that for the first 3 or 4 pulls on the shirt. He doesn't allow Holding to make any progress, and then when Holding touches him once, he throws himself to the floor. That's Holding's point of view. I think he's done that to me for a long while. You've done nothing about it, but we move on. Bruno Duarte's won a corner. He
has, and it's a cheap corner for Vitoria to win. Unai Emery continues to stand on the sidelines with his hood up, looking very wet. The Arsenal manager will decide to get a victory in this game, just to ease some of what has been growing pressure on his shoulders over recent weeks. They've got defending to do though from this corner. Mustafi does it effectively enough. Nice touch from Pepe on the edge of his own box under pressure. Releases Martinelli, who just can't get the ball out of his feet. First touch for Lacazette is a good one to force it out to the on-rushing Pepe on the left-hand side. He's going to need some support, though, you'd imagine. Arsenal's club record signing finds it in Joe Willock. Arsenal, though, forced back towards the halfway line. Guendouzi. And, into towards Socrates and across to Mustafi. And the momentum is just quelled and it ends altogether, actually, as Mustafi fizzes it into the feet of Lacazette, who fails to control. Tapsoba can clear his lines.
Yeah, I mean, Lacazette probably a bit cold in the game, not as warmed up, and first touch was poor. Vangelis has just chopped down Guendouzi. That's a free kick to Arsenal, not allowing them to get into any rhythm. Davinson's going to come off. In the first half, he was brilliant. In the first leg of this tie, he was brilliant in the first game between the two. But second half, we've mentioned him very, very infrequently. And I think that now is the right time. Rafinha comes on.
Yeah, Rafinha on in his place. And as Tom says there, Davidson has really faded from this game badly in this second half, as have, to a certain degree, Vitoria Guimaraes. Still goalless between Vitoria and Arsenal. There are signs, really for the first time in the game, that Arsenal are starting to take control of the contest, though. Again, they really need to get more shots on goal. They still haven't tested Douglas in the Vitoria goal. They brought on Alexandre Lacazette for Bukayo Saka, which should help in that regard, but yeah, chances are at a premium at the moment. They've had one Shockdown Mustafi header over the crossbar from a Pepe corner. At the other end, Vitoria have stopped creating and looking a threat themselves. They brought off Davidson, who was a threat in the first half. He's faded in the second. Rafinha is on for him. But yeah, Arsenal at the moment looking the more likely of the two. 0-0.
Yeah, Pepe is going to get the ball. He goes down the line to Guendouzi. He just can't get to it. He's going to try and scrap away, and it is going to be a goal kick, which he disappointing to have to give away. We've reached the halfway point in the second half. I'll take over from Tom, who has done a fine job so far. He's got no reward though, no goal to get excited about. It's a risky goal kick. Arsenal just about let that down. Tapsoba just kept it in with the header, but the referee said the ball had just crept over as Arsenal tried to start a counter, so they've got a throw in, they've taken it. Guendouzi is now in possession to Lacazette. Heavy touch again from Lacazette. He needs to try and wake up into this tie. That's back to back now. Good header from Socrates. Here is Willock. He gets away in the nick of time. Now to go and look towards Holding. Holding towards Tierney. It's a shocking pass, and Tierney's been given no chance to get to that. And Emery just told his players to calm down a little. I've been impressed with what we've seen of Tierney. He's actually a bit quicker than I first thought, Kevin Tierney, in fairness. I thought he was not the quickest, but he seems to have got the all-round game.
Yeah, he does, and he's a good defensively.
Why are Scotland so good at left-backs?
Yeah, it's slightly bizarre, isn't it? And Tierney, of course, plays right-back a lot of the time, and he does figure for Scotland to accommodate both himself and Andy Robertson, but they are blessed in that department. And Tierney is a similar ilk to Robertson, probably 2 or 3 years further down, well, behind in his development, if you like. But if he can stay fit and feature regularly for Arsenal, I think he can have a similar kind of impact on the Premier League.
Yeah, Pepe just given the ball away. Poor touch, got caught in two minds. Here's Bruno Duarte. 3 attempts to nil on target. Not the best for Arsenal's point of view. Need to give Martinelli or Lacazette something to feed off. Here is Pepe. Drops the shoulder. Another risky pass, and needs to start sharpening those tools up and give the ball a bit more power. Here they go again with Socrates to Holding. Towards Willock. Back to Socrates. Out towards Guendouzi. Guendouzi to Willock. There is Mustafi. Socrates again. Out towards the left for Tierney. Tierney goes back now to Willock. Willock's going to go out towards the right hand side, and it is with Mustafi. Over the top it comes. Not the best bit of defending. Pepe brings it down, but he only gives it towards Agu in midfield. Guendouzi, he's made a huge difference, Tommy, coming into this game though. How many times have we seen him already win the ball back in a good area?
Yeah, brilliant. He just screens in front of that back four superbly, but when he does come forward as well, there's energy and purpose about his play. There's no space for the Vitoria midfielders now to work in, which they had particularly during the early exchanges of the first half. And Yeah, although the Ceballos injury is a blow to Arsenal, both in this game and in perhaps the longer term also, it hasn't hindered them as such bringing on a player of Guendouzi's quality.
Yeah, Lacazette out towards Maitland-Niles. Here it is with Mustafi. Up to the right he goes, Maitland-Niles. Brought in from the touchline, Mustafi down the line, that's poor marking from Vitoria. Here's Guendouzi into Pepe, Pepe to Lacazette, Lacazette turns away, great feet, runs into traffic, it's going to fall to Willock who strikes it. And that would be a conversion attempt in the recent Rugby Union World Cup. Nothing glamorous like he did against Liverpool at Anfield. I'll be honest, I'd have hit it as well.
Yeah, it's one of those tempers you have to hit when it's rolling back to you and you're running onto the ball. As you say, it's probably a similar position to where he scored that screamer at Anfield, but leaning back, always sending it over the top of the target. It's not been a great evening really for Joe Willock. He's not the only one in an Arsenal shirt, but their creative attacking players haven't really shown their quality so far.
Yeah, Rochina just run into Mustafi, who...
On a yellow card, Mustafi.
Yeah, he said he couldn't get out of the way. We'll get a replay here. Guendouzi, well, he can't really get out of the way, but I think probably a free kick from Guendouzi gives him a bit of a pull. I don't think it's a serious injury to the face, but...
I think the referee's got the out, hasn't he? Because Guendouzi clearly pulls Rochina first, so the referee can give that as the foul.
He has bust the nose. There's definite contact at the shoulder. For Holding's, for Mustafi's point of view, I do sympathise. Where can he go?
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent, but I think if Guendouzi doesn't pull him back, and that collision still happens, I think it could be a second yellow card for Mustafi. The fact Guendouzi's committed the first foul means the referee can give it for that, and then he doesn't have that decision to make with the Mustafi challenge.
Yeah, but a defender doesn't have to move. That Rochina is running at him at full pelt. He doesn't have to move.
He doesn't have to, but...
He's not purposely put the arm across. He's tried to move. He's mimicking as if he's trying to get out of the way. And then in doing so, he's hitting with the shoulder. There's no, what I'm saying, there's no deliberate dropping of the shoulder to put him, to drop him.
And
that is a card.
By the letter of the law, as you say, that it possibly isn't a yellow card, but how many times do we see that obstruction, accidental?
But I would agree with you, by the way, that Guendouzi actually makes the pressure a little bit less on him.
And it means the referee, this debate we're having, the referee doesn't have to go for it because he can point to Guendouzi's foul.
I'm just thinking, if it does plan out, by the way, he is still down Maricina, and we are waiting for this free kick, if we have a little debate. I just think that if he doesn't touch him and he runs into him, and if he sends him off, I think it's incredibly harsh. Because it's not his fault, he's just run into him. He's been allowed to go off. The good sign is that the midfielder Rochina, shirt's off, new one's coming on, he's good to go, bit of a blood on the nose, but nothing serious head-wise, which is all that matters. And did Guendouzi get shown the card?
I don't think he did. I mean, the referee booked anyone. I mean, the contact from Guendouzi was minimal, but it was so obvious with the pull with the referee in his eye line that the free kick was always going to be given. What we haven't mentioned as well is the free kick's actually in a really good area.
Yeah, it is. It's Power, I think.
Yeah, it's a substitute, Power.
Yeah, I say he's not done too much since stepping off the bench. This would be a nice introduction if he smashes this in. 75 minutes pretty much on the clock. We're going to get a couple of minutes stoppage time now for that delay. It's Power tries to loop it into a dangerous area, maybe into that mix zone of underneath the keeper. Just try to get it to bounce and flip him on a slick surface. Doesn't, he puts too much on it. And out comes Martinez to catch as Guendouzi piles forward to halfway. Only as far as Socrates. Here is Willock. Willock out to the left for Tierney. Tierney's going to try to go down the line, but he's forced to go back because Torreira stripped off and ready to go on the near touchline. He's number 11. Well, he's right. I just thought I'd said that without double checking, but I was confident on my number knowledge. Here is Mustafi. Mustafi down the right. It is with Maitland-Niles. Not the best pass. There's Pepe. Pepe's going to try and take them on, is he? Drops the shoulder first into Willock. Here is Socrates. Holding. To Socrates. And again, they're just taking their time, Arsenal. Can we see us getting a goal?
They're struggling to create. I mean, we saw that statistic come up a few minutes ago. Yet to have a shot on target in this game, and they don't look like testing this Vitoria back line, who have stood strong throughout the majority of the game, don't look like they're going to be breached at this moment in time. I'm thinking Torreira coming on, who's he going to potentially replace? Willock, perhaps the obvious one in the middle of the park, but is that an attack-minded change for Unai Emery? Not really, so I'm sure maybe Arsenal are quite satisfied with the 0-0 as well, that you know, gets them a little bit closer towards the knockout stages.
I must admit, Willock's only young. He's got a lot of potential to grow into the game. But I think Lucas Torreira is their best box-to-box midfielder they've got. To be honest, he scored a few goals last year, which is something I never thought he'd bring to the Arsenal team. As we'll break off, because here's Pepe, got him behind. He's got Tapsoba for company. Tries to peel away from him and does successfully. Heavy touch, little flick back, and they've managed to win the ball again. And it is going to be a throw-in, though, to Vitoria. Tapsoba changes coming in. It is that change for Willock, like for like in midfield.
Yeah, so probably two more defensive-minded midfielders than the two that started the game. But as you say, Torreira is box-to-box. Guendouzi can do that as well. It might just be a case of fresh legs in the middle of the park to try and get that tempo going, if nothing else. It's been slow from Arsenal in possession, which, although I want to praise Vitoria defensively because they have been good, it's been that little bit easier because Arsenal haven't got into, you know, third, fourth, fifth gear too often. No,
they haven't. Pepe is going to try and get to it. It's blocked off, though, by two Vitoria players. It's a looping pass out towards Garcia, who's just going to keep it in. It's really dogged, determined running and roll the sleeves up sort of type of play. He has to pretty much exert himself just to keep the ball in, and his team, to reward his work, have gone back to the keeper. But I'm sure his manager and the fans will appreciate the effort. That long ball forward, Arsenal knock it back towards Martinez. Across he goes to Mustafi. Torreira has it again. Socrates to Holding out to the left for Tierney. He's going to go down the line. Martinez is going to chase after this. It's going to be just a little touch and out for that should be a Vitoria throw.
Yeah, and again, it's easy for the home side to defend. Just a lack of spark or imagination about Arsenal's play. I don't really remember them, particularly in the second half, getting in behind the Vitoria defence on too many occasions. And when they have, the offside flag's been raised. It's lacking imagination and ideas from an Arsenal point of view. And I still think we're looking, nearly 10 minutes left to play. If you added up the best 3 or 4 chances in this game, they'll probably all be Vitoria ones.
Yeah, Martinez just gone down there. It's a delayed fall. Referee's going to put whistle to the mouth and say it's a free kick, and he looked like he's in a bit of pain here, Martin. I don't know whether the contact came. Turns past one. Oh, it's a standing foot, not the leg bit he comes away with. I did struggle to see it at first, but it's Edwards that's left one in on him. Top of the laces, studs down the. In fact, it's Evangelista, should I say? Martinez certainly feeling it. It has absolutely chucked it down as well today, all day in this game. The pitch is soaked. Players, rightly so, getting on. I used to love playing in the rain, personally.
Yeah, so did I, to be honest. But
although where you're from, it's a bit colder than where.
yeah. It's probably not quite 13 degrees in summer when we're playing. But yeah, Vitoria and Arsenal. I think the Gunners would be relatively satisfied now. The more I think about it as this game goes on with a goalless draw.
Here they come, though, header down the tall corner, and it's in. And just as we say that Arsenal will be satisfied, Jordan Mustafi heads home. He's wasted a chance a few moments ago. A Pepe cross is an absolute peach, and Arsenal have absorbed the pressure, and Vitoria have fallen asleep at the back, and they lead the Gunners by a single goal to nil.
Arsenal have taken the lead. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 1. Shokdan Mustafi, who had a header over earlier in this second half. This time he heads into the back of the net from a Nicolas Pepe free kick. The marking's poor from a Vitoria point of view. 2 men free at the far post. It's Mustafi who gets up and nods it beyond Douglas into the corner with what is Arsenal's first shot on target in this game. They haven't played well. They've struggled to create. Arguably Vitoria have had the better of the opportunities, but it doesn't matter now. The Gunners are in front and they don't have long to hold out. It's Vitoria 0, Arsenal 1.
It's a great header, Tom. It really is. It's pinpoint. He takes all the power from the cross and generates it to the other corner of the net. He doesn't try and do much with it. It's just a steering header. One across the goal to just say, let's get it back towards that far side and let's hope for the best. As here they come down this right. It's a good tackle from Holding. We're with Martinelli. Martinelli's going to try and bring it inside, and he does. Torreira to Guendouzi. Guendouzi out to the right for Mustafi, who now asked them to try and keep themselves in this lead. Hold on to it. Tierney gets it from Mustafi. It's a really good ball. Tierney to the far post, looking for Pepe, who heads towards goal. Well, Lacazette said he wanted it. He's adamant, and he's screaming at Tierney. I don't think it needs to be as aggressive as that. I do like Lacazette. I think he's a fantastic player. He loves having the ball at his feet. He always wants service. He's never one to shy away. As Vitoria make another change, their last, and Lucas Evangelista replaced by Leo Bonatini.
Yeah, Bonatini on loan from Wolves for the season. Enjoyed success in his previous time in Portuguese football, and yeah, familiar face to followers of the English game. Didn't get too much of a chance in the Premier League last season with Wolves, but did score regularly during their promotion campaign from the Championship, and it is an attack-minded change midfielder for a striker for Vitoria, who, for me, I think they've run out of legs in this match. I can't realistically see them getting back into the game, but then again, I was saying I can't see Arsenal scoring when Mustafi, moments later, heads the ball into the back of the net.
Yep. Bruno Duarte's had no service again. He's had a very similar game to Martinelli, just a hard-working shift up front.
Yeah, not a particularly glamorous one for the two respective strikers who started the game. I think he's got something about him though, Bruno Duarte. Looks a decent focal point at times, has looked to link up with Edwards and Davidson when he was on the pitch as well. We haven't really seen much from the substitutes, the first two substitutes that came on for Vitoria, Rashinha and Poha. It feels like once those substitutions were made, whether that was to do with Vitoria as a whole just running out of steam, but they made those two substitutes and they've really been second best ever since. Yeah,
it is going to be a tense few 7 minutes for Vitoria. They know that they've got to get this victory, got to come back from behind, and it's now with Mustafi. He goes back to Socrates, Torreira, Socrates again, holding out to Tierney. That nearly went out, and it has. Tierney does the right thing and just throws it away to make sure he just gets back in position. Until Garcia. Little header back. Here's Agu, runs into Torreira, almost does. That's a good touch from Bonatini. Duarte takes it off him, but now both strikers can get in the box. It worked out to the left. It's in towards Bonatini. Headed towards him, but holding volleys over the bar and behind for a corner.
Yeah, better from Vitoria, and if Arsenal do sit back as well, it will allow the home side to grow in confidence once again. Good ball in by Rafa Suarez, and I don't think Holding knew what was behind him, so he went for the safety first approach and turned it behind for a corner.
Yeah, ball in, headed away by Mustafi. Headed away out to the far side. Throw in now. Here they come with Agu. Ball in behind. Pepe is going to go towards it. Just going to try and keep it in. And that should be another corner. Pepe appealing. Edwards had gone out there to help Rashinha. Still back in the box now though. These boys coming forward. Sober included. Little ball back. Here's Rashinha. He's going to go for goal. And it's over the top. And I mean, he's trying something different. I think everyone expected the cross, pardon me, maybe thought he could outfox them, but when it's nil, it's 0-1. Perhaps a percentage ball to give your team a better chance is what you need.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the short corner routine to start with between Rashinha and Marcus Edwards, but once Rashinha gets into the space, Arsenal for their part slow in getting help. It was a 2-on-1 against Nicolas Pepe. What Rashinha should have done is get the ball into the area to his teammates. It's such a waste though, and he presumably he was going for the goal. He certainly overhits whatever he was trying. It goes over the top of the crossbar. But yeah, when you get a set piece like that, the big central defenders have come forward. It's a real waste when the cross doesn't come into the box.
Yeah, ball forward. It's taking a deflection. Vitoria get it back. Now out with Suarez again. Sorry, Garcia, should I say? Garcia takes a couple of players on. Wins a throw-in, gets a deflection he needs. Agu got power inside him. Floats it in looking for Bonatini. Tries to find Duarte. Headed away by a Holding. Only as far as Tierney. Now Tierney takes a touch and tries to bring it down the line. He runs it out of play. It smacks into the manager. not sure I knew too much about it. I just try to put his body on the line to keep the ball high up the pitch, and his players can't say that he's not fighting out there with him. It would be a shame for a team to be in the top 4 or 5 in the Portuguese league to then be crashing out of Europe the first hurdle. It's, especially with no points to their name, it doesn't look good. And the frustrating thing is, at the end of the day, if you make mistakes, you deserve to be punished, but they've got some great potential out there.
They have, and you know, their 2 performances against Arsenal, they've looked pretty decent in truth, haven't they? But not seeing what they did in the defeats to Standard Liège and Eintracht Frankfurt, can't really judge them. But you feel there were the games where they needed to get, you know, at least one win on the board to give them a foothold coming into this double header against Arsenal, and then obviously if they had picked up a win or 2, they'd have been in a good position heading into the final 2 group games. But it's all about experience. They're not a traditional powerhouse in terms of European football from the Portuguese Primeira Liga. Look, a young, exciting side, and if they can keep these players together, 5th in the Primeira Liga this season, as we were mentioning, so there's potential there for them to get back into the Europa League next season as well. Yeah,
certainly so. Ball comes out on the left, and it's going to go for an Arsenal throw-in. Down the line it comes, headed back inside, and it's going to be another Arsenal throw-in, heavy header. A couple of minutes left. Those that were in the ground, not the best attendance today. Don't know whether the weather's played its part or the fact that it is a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, the kick-off time, I think, you know, what, 3:50, Portugal's the same time zone as the UK, so it is 3:50 there as well. You know, most people still at work potentially, or one or 2 other things on during the middle of the day. It's not been an ideal kick-off time for either side. The only benefit really for both teams is the fact they've played this game early on a Wednesday, which means they've got more preparation time for the weekend. Arsenal have got that big game at Leicester, haven't they, in the Premier League on Saturday evening, and Vitoria as well can turn their attention back to league action quickly.
Yeah, see if they can get back to winning ways as fast as they can. Arsenal, of course, have been better in Europe than they have been domestically. Guendouzi jumps up for the header. He's very awkward. Matteo Guendouzi wins a free kick. Just very hard to handle. He's big, he's rangy, he's got that long hair, he's very identifiable. Still such a young man as well.
Yeah, he's got great personality on the pitch as well. I mean, as you say, he's about 20 years of age, but people are touting him as not just a future Arsenal captain. Some people were suggesting he should have succeeded Granit Xhaka, and you see he's got the attributes to be a leader out there. He plays in central midfield where you probably want your skipper to be ideally. You can see everything on the pitch, but yeah, certainly an impressive cameo from him in this second half.
Out towards the left, ball on the line. It's a really good pass as well on the way. Rachinho inside. He's gone to try and beat Mustafi. He floats over the top to Duarte. Knocks it back to Bonatini into the stands. That's the best chance to match for Vitoria, and they're not going to get a better one. Tom, I might be being harsh, but it's a perfect team move. He has to score.
Yeah, it's a lovely play. Rachinho cuts inside onto his right foot, dinks the ball to Duarte, and that's the presence of mind and awareness that we've seen from Bruno Duarte at times in this game. Many strikers would have gone for goal themselves there, but he cushions it off to his partner Bonatini, who, as you say, he lashes at the ball. It's a poor effort really from Bonatini in the end. First sniff of goal he's had in the contest, but as you say, it ticked into over the 90-minute mark now. We are going to have 5 minutes of stoppage time, so there is still time for Vitoria, but was not their best opportunity to draw level.
Yeah, here they come on the right. Edwards, it's Paul, fires it back to Garcia, who pretty much falls over the ball. Got to give credit to their manager as well. I've noticed 5 minutes of stoppage time. He's been vocal all afternoon. He's been giving them so much encouragement. He's pretty much kicked every ball with them out there.
Yeah, he's been really good, hasn't he? Encouraging and keeping them going. Ivo Vieira, and I think he'll be disappointed. I think, on the balance, as Edwards gets towards the byline, might be a chance at the far post. It's still a live bicycle effort, and it is in. They've scored a goal. It's Bruno Duarte with an acrobatic scissor kick in the air. I was just about to say that Vitoria will be disappointed if they don't get a draw because they probably deserve it. Well, there you go, into stoppage time. It's back all square.
Well, that is a fine goal. Edwards take about. He's the man that creates the opportunity. He runs to the byline, and we've seen Tierney a few times run to the byline or to the touchline, and he's overran it, and he seems to have got the flight of the ball sussed. Man in the middle that's off the deck, I think it's Agu. He wins the ball back, he kicks it to Edwards, who goes to the byline. Holding's tackle is poor, header back in from Machinya, and they can't get to him. He's beaten 5 yellow shirts to find that corner, and we're in for a tense finish.
Vitoria have drawn level late in the day. It's Vitoria 1, Arsenal 1. It's their striker Bruno Duarte who's got on the score sheet. Great credit has to go to the former Tottenham youngster Marcus Edwards down the right-hand side for Vitoria. Gets to the byline, dinks it towards the far post. It's headed down by substitute Rachinya, but still Duarte has so much to do. He acrobatically, with a scissor kick, hits the ball into the ground. Somehow it bounces over the head of a number of Arsenal defenders that were back on the line and finds the top corner. It's no less than Vitoria deserve. It's been an even contest, you might suggest, and they're probably worthy of a point. They might even get all 3 at this rate. It's 1-1.
Yeah, ball index and deflection. Oh, just wide of the far post, or near post, should I say. And Vitoria slammed the ball into the box. It perhaps it's a double deflection. Ball comes in. Duarte's flick, it hits Mustafi. It was Garcia's cross, and that could have gone absolutely anywhere. It kisses the post, and it's going to go behind. Maitland-Niles had his head in his hands. He thought that was in. Corner to come, which Edwards is going to take. Needs a good delivery to the near post. Flicked away from Arsenal, only to as far as Rachinya. Across the goal, and just past the far post. And 92.5 minutes in, and Vitoria ended this game on a high. How close was this one? Well, it almost hits Bonatini.
Brilliant effort from Rachinya. It's spectacular. As you say, it could find the corner itself. It could take a touch off friend or foe and end up in the back of the net. Full credit to Vitoria. They're throwing everything at this now. And, you know, you wouldn't even begrudge them. I said they'd be worthy of a point. I wouldn't begrudge them all 3 if they got it.
No, here comes Guendouzi. Now can Arsenal break their heart as the ball's out the back to Lacazette. It's not the best pass to get an attack going. Lacazette will go inside to Guendouzi. Torreira's behind him. Doesn't get the shout though. Lacazette, Maitland-Niles on the overlap. Lacazette turns back. Guendouzi tries to find a way through. Maitland-Niles again. Across to Lacazette, to Guendouzi once more. Hold up play is really good, but Rachinya goes and wins it back, and now they're on the attack. He's got Duarte bursting forward. He needs to go use that left touchline, I think, for me, and he's gone and used it. Now it's with Poa. He's got Bonatini, he's got Duarte, but the most tired forward they have is Duarte, and he kicks it into the channel and just basically says, can you chase it? But he's never going to give his teammate a chance with 93.5 minutes into this contest. And for me, it's been a really entertaining one again in parts. We have had lull periods, but I just fancied that I'd like to see Vitoria get a win. I think they deserve something to fight for in the group as Pepe's flagged offside. It'd shake the group up, put it that way.
It would. They look a decent team, don't they? I just feel Poha there, past the buck on the left-hand side. Yeah. He was probably out of position on the left wing, central midfielder, and he tried to force the pass through to Duarte, carry it forward, cutting field, do something with a bit of imagination. He wasn't able to do so in the attack. The attack went a begging.
Yes, there is pass launched out to the right. They go down the line, it's flipped away, is it? No, they're just going to stop it. Martinelli, here is Torreira. Torreira out to Guendouzi. Guendouzi's going to try and play it forward. Martinelli tries to head it down the line. He's going to cushion it. And the keeper mops up. Wants to try and get it forward. We're only 15 seconds away from the 95 marker. Socrates has been pulled by Duarte. The two wrestle it. That potential for a high boot. Mustafi now needs to get to this. Oh, he should have controlled it. Why has no one told him to bring it down? He only heads it as far as Poa. Rachiña's made a massive difference off the bench. He skips away, left, right. Tries to find a way through. Referee looks at his watch. It's out from Tapsoba. This might be the last chance for them. And here is Poa. He nutmegs his man Mustafi. He goes and fires it across the face of goal. Socrates gets there. It's awful from Mustafi. And Arsenal get away with it as Guendouzi now piles forward. End-to-end stuff here in this Europa League contest. As the referee decides that is enough. And a thrilling end is all we get. No winner. It's finished Vitoria 1, Arsenal 1. And thank you for joining us. Don't forget, Champions League action later this evening, Europa League action tomorrow.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets,